Bro Diallo Show, AM 1160, broadcasting out of Northside Chicago, Q4 Studios, Q4.org, QUE. No one heard anything you said until this point.
Okay.
So you were saying because your mic was muted. I'm sorry, I overlooked that because of all the other stuff. But you were saying about your love of Scarlett Johansson and
Hello,
and
everybody.
marshmallows. Well, go on. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brandon Lamar Skates. I'm a scholar, activist, organizer, youth development expert, mentor to many other black activists on the front lines. I do a lot of behind the scenes work similar to civil rights activist Ella Baker with mentoring and help developing organizations. I'm a current graduate student at the Jacob H. Brothers Center for Inner City Studies. I'll have my master's in May 2017. From there, I'll be going to New York, applying to the Scheinberg Center for a Scholar Fellowship.
Uptown, Harlem.
Doing some research in Harlem. And then after that, I'm planning on pursuing a PhD in political science and take along the lines of the Grandmaster teachers, Dr. John Henry Clark, Asha G. Hilliard III. The list goes on of the people that paved the way before me. And I'm glad to be here with y'all this morning.
All right, so let's just get right into the topic. And you mentioned some of our iconic black scholars from the black. And one thing that kind of eats me up, and I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm uppity. But the quality of scholars. Because we just lost Dr. Bean. We lost
Francis Cresswell.
Just lost Francis Cresswell. And we lost Dr. Clark, who's kind of like
Delbert Blair.
Right, about a decade ago. And then even before that, we lost John G. Jackson. We lost Dale Jones. We lost all these preeminent, not just scholars, but, you know, they were philosophers. They were activists. They were co-conspirators in the effort to dismantle the systems and institutions of white domination and oppression. Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm not trying to get you into no beef. I'm not trying to, you know, bring you in on my beefs, but it seems like they have been replaced by substandard scholars. I just couldn't see Dr. Ben banging on Dr. Clark on Sonnetter TV. You know, it's kind of like the WWE mentality, and I don't know if it's like you a scholar in the era of social media where people, they just don't want to know what you're researching, what you think, what your analysis is, but they want to know what kind of gear you sporting. People want to see, you know, what kind of honeys you have on your arm, who you roll with, who you down with. And so maybe it's because the current speakers, but I mean like even the Dr. Johnsons, Sadie's Polites and all these other, you know, dudes out here chasing the reptilian overlords and the Illuminati and all that, the Mason and stuff. It just seems like there's been a degradation. And I don't know, maybe because I'm just used to a level of professionalism and formality in scholarship, or has there been like a change? Am I just old and I just need to go sit down and shut up somewhere because you're a younger cat? What's up with black scholars and black scholarship now versus, you know, the iconic black scholars from the 60s, 50s, and even the 70s and 80s?
I think it's a new breed, and I actually love Cyrus Sumiseti.
So you bang on that beast daily?
Yeah, I bang on him daily. He was trained, like for him, I have a large amount of respect for him because he was trained by Dr. John Henry Clark and Dr. Yosebinyo Kana. Dr. Ashura Kwesi, list goes on.
Right.
But it is a lot of frustration with the new Negro intellectuals. That's the focus of my research, how for my master's, how can black intellectuals get more involved, like using their intellectual activism to resolve the social issues by implementing solutions. My issue is it's a lot of pseudo-scholarship or pseudo-rhetoric that's going on. So it's these cats that will be on Sonnetter TV that haven't even got the blessings of like the Grandmaster teachers or even the blessings of the people in the community. And you charging $30 for a debate and lecture and you're not doing nothing, putting nothing into the community. that's problematic. We got to call it how we see it. And it's a lot of pseudo scholarship or pseudo intellectualism, or even with the activist community, it's a lot of intellectual masturbation going on. Like they talking this talk, but like not doing the work in the community. They want to be. Dr. Huey P. Newton had a quote was like, "We got a lot of Black Power celebrities." Dr. John Henry Clark called showbiz liberation. It's more than liberation and revolution. And typing at the keyboard. We got a lot of keyboard revolutionaries that ain't never put their boots on the ground or did work in the community or been in the field. The field, like doing real work in the community.
Right. And then I think I've been seeing that there's kind of a divergence. Because when I'm out pontificating, I write, I used to do speaking engagements. I don't get invited out much anymore. I don't know. But when I was going out to speak, and when I would write and publish my writing, post it on Facebook, my blog or something, people would be like, well, what are you doing? As if intellectual work isn't work. So I articulate a position, I offer an analysis, I try to give some additional insights on something that I think that, is constructive. And people were like, well, what are you doing? And I used to answer that. I used to give my whole revolutionary resume about what the work I do and what I'm currently doing, what I did. And I stopped doing that because, you never get that, what are you doing, in interest of how can I contribute to what you're doing. Yeah. You never get that like, oh yeah, I hear what you're saying, but how can I contribute to what you're doing? Right. I do get that on my inbox. But generally, so I just stopped answering because there seems to be a divergence between the intellectual work and the field work, the revolutionary work, the substantive material, institutional, organizational, tear gas, billy club upside your head protest type work. There seems to be as if people think that those two are separate. Mm-hmm. And if you're doing one, then you're not doing the other, or that one is not as necessary as the other.
Yeah, I agree. Like I've had several activists behind the scenes like, you a scholar, so you're not relevant to the movement. I was like, I have to laugh at that a lot because I was like, so Dr. Clark is relevant, but I'm not. When he was doing work in the community. Right. But he was there when, a lot of people don't know, he was there when Stokely called for Black Power. Right. He said they had to get arms, basically, to pretty much protect themselves from the KKK. Right. So it's like, you gotta be able to do the work, but also it's a lot of dudes and women out here that call themselves scholars, but what have you written? What is your research? What are you really doing, like, as a scholar? You could say you're a scholar, but do you have anything written to prove, like, to back up your scholarship? Or who are your teachers to verify? If somebody went and looked you up and looked up your information, can they find out information about you and your work that you've done? Right. I was telling somebody, you could look at my resume. I don't even like putting my resume.
Your Vita.
Yeah,
that's what we call it.
Vita, yeah.
The Vita or Vita?
It's Vita. I think
it's Vita in the streets, son.
Yeah.
You may be Vitae in the Ivory Tower.
Yeah, but pretty much, like, I was telling somebody, like, I'm an intellectual, but I don't intellectualize my activism.
And another thing, which I always point out to people, generals in the U.S. militaries are scholars.
Yeah.
You can't, if the generals, you don't get promoted to generals because you go and kill a bunch of sand in words. Because you go out and murder and rape a bunch of Iraqis. I mean, that's part of it. Yeah. That's a component of it. They want you to do that. They want you to be a psychotic, mass-killing fascist. Yes, but there's another component. Generals publish in peer-reviewed journals. They engage in scholarships.
What's his name had scholarship Hitler?
Right.
And he was...
Oh, he was an artist, a scholar, an animal rights activist, a vegan. That's why I say Hitler would have fit into a lot of these liberal organizations. He would have fit quite comfortably into a lot. He had alternative lifestyles. Hitler would have been, like I say, we think because white people are liberal and hugging trees that they can't hug trees and hang us from the trees at the same time. But that's a whole nother discussion. Yeah. But what I'm saying with the divergence between the work and the intellectual work and the street work, the Pentagon has as many schools funds as many schools as it does gun ranges.
Yes.
You know, and the military is an intellectual pursuit. There are literally as many volumes of books on military philosophy, military science, tactics, and strategies that you have to read and study, as there are law books, books on liberal arts, political science, medical school. It's a whole realm of intellectual pursuit. So even if you're the most militant, kill whitey, tattoo on the face, new Black Panther Party boot stomper, if you're not engaged in really the academic work, then you're only doing less than half the battle.
And I was saying most people that's activists, they don't understand the concept of political strategy and military strategy. Or
Right.
warfare, just in general.
Right.
Like I study warfare, I study military tactics.
But you're wasting your time. Because what are you doing, though? But what are you doing? As if, man, and you know, thought burns. It burns. What do you call it? Synapses.
Yeah.
Thought burns energy. It requires metabolism of energy and carbon in order to think. So thinking is a physical thing.
Yeah, it takes a lot to think. It's a hard thing to do for a lot of people. And I was telling somebody, a lot of people don't understand. They feel like the civil rights movement and nonviolence is like a failure. But a lot of people don't understand with political strategy, nonviolence is only used as a mechanism to get a means of what you want without being violent. But when it comes to the revolution, there's going to be bloodshed. So in regards to that, you're going to have those who know about nonviolent strategy or know how to get a means to get in the room and talk with those people. This is what our agenda is. You know what I'm saying? This is what it is. If you don't want a piece of that, all right, we'll be back.
And you put that to a funky beat. And
yeah. And then I was like, a lot of people don't know the work. The real organizing is done in the streets. You got to be able to organize those young brothers on the block that's apolitical, that don't understand their position. They understand their position, but they don't understand the system. Or they aren't woken to, they're aware of what's going on, but they aren't awoke to the fact that I'm under oppression. I'm being suppressed. I'm in a method of colonization. I'm in the inner city. It's a jungle though.
Yeah, like Sister Scheherazade Ali said, you know, we don't tell our children that they're under attack, so they can't understand their condition, so they lash out against themselves and us, because they don't have the very vocabulary to really understand what's going on. So they blame the oppression. And then we have a lot of, like, from Bill Cosby on down the line, who blame our condition on ourselves.
Yeah,
that black people are our own worst enemy type.
Yeah,
rhetoric.
I just seen a video. It was on Facebook. It popped up in my feed. But it was a young girl. She was in high school. She was an honor student. She had a sign on. She was living in Iowa too. I think her name is Gabby Bowie or Bowie or something like that.
Yeah, that's my family name. My great-grandfather was a Bowie.
Yeah, and what happened was she was called into the principal office because she had a sign that was like, I'm a walking hashtag Trayvon Martin. And they wanted her to take it off. And then there was a kid, she was like, there was other kids that had racist signs. They called in the office, and what made it more sad, she was standing firm with the assistant principal and the disciplinarian. And then they called her parents. Her parents were being new Negroes to the fullest. They was like, we told you not to bring the sign, and why are they calling me? And I'm in the meeting, I shouldn't have to step out my meeting. But her parents sided with the
school.
With the school. And that's how it usually go. Like, they want to, one of the theories that I look at is cultural socialization in general, in schools, in the mainstream media, in society. Black people, African people are socialized through a Eurocentric lens. So when we look at this idea and this philosophy of cultural socialization, we're trained to believe that we're white. Mentally, even though we're physically in our skin and our melanin, we're black. Psychologically,
it's not that simple. Because we only are white as snow if we live according to God's laws. So it's not automatic whiteness. We got to work to whiteness.
Yeah, we
got to earn whiteness. So Cosby and Oprah told us that. And the Bible. So yeah, we're socialized to believe that we're white, but it's not handed to us on a silver platter. We got to work to be white.
Yeah.
Purge our dark hearts, our dark black souls.
Yeah, but I was more than anything, it's more so, I'll say it's more so a conditioning. So psychologically and intellectually, we condition like through miseducation. Like kids are trained.
Let's talk about miseducation and proper education.
Okay, let's get it.
Because I have another problem. Like, again, I'm not trying to bring you in on my beefs. But I got to say, and I'll start off my fundamental idea. What good is an African-centered education if we're going to be integrating young black people into a Eurocentric economy? And what I have found, from the Garvey School on the West Coast to the ACE schools, many of these schools, the ACE is African-centered education,
Right.
is that they are basically trying to give black children a leg up in the dominant economy. Their curriculum is saturated with black rhetoric, African history, and a lot of good stuff that we need, because everyone know, they can look at I say an ideological education is more important than an academic education, because if you're not ideological grounded, then you'll take your brilliant mind and design weapon systems for your oppressor, like many black engineers and scientists have done.
Yeah.
And so why isn't because African-centered education has been around since the 70s.
Yeah.
And the point of that was to be in opposition to the systems, not to help you get into Harvard. And you see a lot of these African schools bragging about, our kids are going to Brown, they're going to Harvard, they're getting into all these Western institutions and going on to work for these Western corporations. And okay, when you're in the lab coat, when you walk across the stage at Harvard, you might have like a mud cloth, graduation gown. I don't know, maybe you'll have a RBG pin on your lab coat while you're working at DuPont or Monsanto. But how do we win? I mean, what is the point of an African-centered education if we're integrating those brilliant African-centered minds into the dominant economy? Shouldn't African-centered education train people to live their lives and employ their intelligence in direct opposition to the dominant economy and the dominant political system?
I totally agree with that. We gotta start teaching our kids entrepreneurship at an early age. Training them not only entrepreneurship but like the sciences, like and establishing like their own. If they're gonna go into the system and learn and use it, once you graduate, don't go work for that company. Like start your own company. Like start your own practice. Like get your experience out, but while you working that job, like in a way systematically we all put into the system, but it's all about your grounding. Like you were saying with the ideological, what is your ideological grounding? Right. So if you got this grounding, you might, to build yourself up, you might not have the resources. Say you come from the inner city, you don't have the resources. You'll have to integrate into the system. Get a little level to yourself, get a foundation, and then branch off and do your own thing. One of the people that I admire that really did it for himself, that's doing it for himself now, is Dr. Boyce Watkins.
Okay. See, I thought you were going to say somebody else.
Nah, just as a means to what happened with him in the academy, and then now he's pretty much doing his own thing.
Yeah, but black capitalism. See, I don't think that we can do, like, this whole concept, I don't believe in doing better. It might be semantic.
Right.
But financial responsibility to me is not better investing, better saving, because this is an omnicidal system. And we see that even the people, the bottom line is we have to dismantle and depart from capitalism. Yeah. Not succeed within capitalism. Because succeeding in capitalism is like Beyonce having sweatshop slaves in Sri Lanka making her Ivy Park clothing. That's succeeding in capitalism.
Yeah, that's true.
So we have to.
Yeah, we got to come up with some better solutions.
Right. So and even take nothing away from Dr. Watkins or Dr. Claude Anderson and since we're talking about scholars and scholarship, but I think it's more dangerous to take on the economic system of your enslaver than the religion of your enslaver.
Ooh, yeah, you got a point to that.
That's my issue with black, because when I have a African world order, I have a couple of enterprises, but they're all cooperative.
Yeah.
Which means we have to make money according to how they say we have to make money. We pay the taxes. We set up the LLCs and the accounts to keep these fascists from kicking in our doors and dragging us away.
Right.
Because we know they watch what we do.
Right.
But How you make the money can be standard, but how you redistribute the money and how you set up the ownership of the company, that could be socialist.
Yeah.
There's no laws against it yet.
Yeah.
You don't even have to be revolutionary to do this. Liberals are doing this.
Yeah.
So having cooperative ownership, collective, and I don't see enough of that pushed by these black financial gurus.
Yeah.
And Amos Wilson talked about it in the Susu and Blueprint for Black Power Cooperative Economics. I know Dr. Anderson in Powernomics and Blueprint for in Powernomics and Black Labor, he talks about group economics, but then when you look at the basic, how it's structured, it's black capitalism.
Yeah. I never even looked at it like that, but that do make a lot of sense. I know one of the people that I admire heavily in Chicago, that's doing work nationally and globally.
We got a call. Okay. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I hate to interrupt you, but I hadn't get up. Hello, caller? See, that's why the thing. Hold on a second, caller. Hello, caller?
Yeah, Brother Diallo.
Yeah, state your name and or alias. Or that's stupid. I need to say state your name or alias and where you're calling from. But don't give your name and your alias, because that defeats the point of having an alias. Oh, we got a lot of brain power in here. Well, let me introduce you, Brother Adolfo from Mississippi, to Chicago's own, the good brother, Brandon Scrates.
Lamar Skates.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
You have a question for our guest?
Rather more of a comment. What y'all were talking about in terms of education. In terms of education, with respect to the comments you were talking about, with a lot of African schools that were not producing our children to go work for other folks. But I think Dr. Amos Wilson really dealt with it really well in his writing and his lectures, because he talked about what is the purpose of education. And I think some of our people, they want to teach our children about their history and culture and all of that good stuff, and that's important, but to what end? What purpose are you doing all of that for? You can have people who can read well, have high reading comprehension, can do math and science as well, but do math and science to what end? Are you doing it to an African end, for African are you doing it for African liberation, or are you doing it to continue contributing to your oppressors? So, and this is all coming from Dr. Amos Wilson again, what he said in terms of the kind of education that we get. The education of a black child, the purpose of an education of a black child and that of a white child should be totally different. The black child is tasked with overthrowing an oppressor. The education has to be a revolutionary education. The goal of the education of African children is a revolutionary goal, and not just to maintain the status quo, to maintain the systems of capitalism and white domination. So, we definitely have to do that in addition to just teaching our children merely historical facts and about how great we were and about culture, because what that amounts to, as you talked about in the past, Brother Diallo, and what Dr. Amos Wilson said, historical contributionism.
Yes.
You bolstering people's egos about what they did yesterday, but you're not readying them for the task that they have to deal with, and that's a major issue. There was a brother on Facebook down here in Mississippi. He was talking about how some sisters had been attacked at a university here for not standing up during the national anthem or something like that in protest. And he was saying that brothers were around and they didn't deal with these crackers that
did this to the sisters or whatever. They had poured something on the sisters' heads or something like that. But and what I was telling the brother that's a part. Many black men and black women, for that matter, they don't want to deal with the idea that we're gonna have to challenge and overthrow these Europeans.
Right.
Too many of them.
Right.
Too many of them still view this white man as undefeatable, unchallengeable, and godlike, because many of them have been indoctrinated through various religions, and that's the viewpoint that they have.
Right. Fundamentally, people see revolution as impractical or unrealistic. Can you speak to any of the brother Adolfo's points? Are you going to stay with us, Adolfo, or you want to hear the response online? All right. You want to respond to some of his points?
Yeah. I would say in regards to responding to it, some people do view it as impractical, but a lot of people don't really understand what revolutionary action is or what revolution is. I would say a lot of people that say they're revolutionary, a lot of them are reactionary. A lot of them don't understand as a revolutionary or having a revolution, looking even back at the American Revolution or revolution in period by Europeans. Mm-hmm. They had institutions that they established that could be sustainable, but they also had like some kind of military force to enforce and protect what they were building. So in order for Europeans to respect us, you got to understand what power is. So I did a lot with political science. So power is, my friend from New Era, Chicago, Eric Mobley, he came up with this definition. Power is the ability to respond. Power is the ability to provide and protect for, and power is the ability to deliver consequence. In society, black people are continually going to get killed because they know the biggest weapon against black people is disunity. Biggest weapons is disunity and disorganizations. I have an equation that I created. So disunity plus disorganization equals dysfunction. So if you got dysfunction within the community, Dr. Bobby Wright said, all our life-sustaining institutions are controlled by Europeans. That's not, that's slavery, that's not oppression. So it's like, if we don't control anything, we got to get back to getting some control and understand what power is. If you don't understand what power is, you're going to forever be a slave. Like, if you don't understand what power is, the power to control your own destiny, we got to create our own institutions. It's a brother in Chicago, Marcus Klein.
That's what I thought you were going to say before.
Yeah, and he developed his own network of African center schools. He started off small, like in a house, or like he had.
And before that, he had a publication.
Yeah,
an independent publication.
Yeah, Frontline.
Yeah.
Frontline was a magazine, but what he's doing now, he has 3 schools in Chicago, a school in Detroit. He's from Detroit. He has a school in New York, a literacy school, I believe, and then he has the land in Ghana. Coming soon, he's just developing the school right now, and then he has a school coming to Atlanta soon. So, and then that's my mentor, so I'm working with him and learning like the infrastructure of like how to run an institution. Because I in the process right now, I started my own think tank called the Africanity Institute, and I do use Pan-Africanism as a mechanism for scholar activism in the community. So creating solutions, I lecture, I do community work, I work inside of public schools. So I'm doing a wide variety of things where I'm implementing solutions. It's just, you got to figure out what's the best way within the revolution or within the movement, how you going to play your role. What's your role within it? You got to find your strengths, like Dr. John Henry Clark said. You got to take what you do best and do it for your people. So what do you do best? And you can implement your own solution, but don't depend on nobody to be your leader. Be your own leader. Like, then we got to organize too. That's the main thing.
All right. Adolfo.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you got all that feedback.
Yeah. I appreciate it. I agree with everything the brother said. That's the ultimate issue that we as African people are dealing with in the world. It's the issue of power. You try to frame it in all these other types of ways. These people do what they do to us because we don't have the power. We have not organized and built the necessary power to counter their power, overcome their power.
But like, let me also say this, because I think this is something we overlook. This has been, you know, an exchange. It's not that, you know, white folks win and stay winning, or they defeat us and we remain defeated. I think something that we miss in this ongoing power struggle and our ongoing fight against the systems and institutions of capitalism and white domination, something that we miss is when our oppressors, when the dominant paradigm, when they lose the war, they start to fight to win the peace. So I think a lot of times when we do have, whether substantial material victories or symbolic victories, we want to dance and celebrate, as opposed to reinforce and further entrench those victories. So whether you're dealing with civil rights reforms and legislation, whether you're dealing with nationwide uprisings that not only burn down 200 U.S. cities, but also collapse the global economy and hurts U.S. international standings in its opposition to global capitalism in the 60s. Also, African decolonization, Caribbean and Central America and South American decolonization. We've had a lot of victories, but the victories were never fully entrenched or sustained, because when we focus a lot on winning the war, but we don't focus on winning the peace a lot of times.
Yeah.
So we think, okay.
I know how you feel about sports, but you know how a team will win like they conference championships and they celebrate like they won, or even if they won like state,
right,
like one city, but you still got to go to state. You still got to go through, you know what I'm saying, the finals. So it's like teams that celebrate like, oh, we got this, and then they get to the finals, the other team would just wipe them up on the floor.
So yeah, so and so just in that, because I also don't want to, you know, like Killer Mike said, because we don't have, you know, frontiersman skills from the 1600s, that we're not ready for revolution. I just don't want to be discouraging, you know, right. And it's like, well, we don't have power, and then black folks will, which is true. I'm not arguing that we have any power. We don't have global power, and but we do have some local power, some regional power and assets. We do have something, especially in sub-Saharan Africa. So there is power. I think one problem is power, but another thing we don't focus on is the misallocation of resources, physical and material resources. So that's just another element. Sorry to jump on you like that, step on you like that, Brother Adolfo. You were saying, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I agree partly with you. I think a part of has been the issue even when we have one victory, and we definitely have to recognize the victories that we've been able to win, even the ones that have been in the vein of reformism. But every time we win a victory, I feel like maybe we don't poise ourselves for when the empire is about to strike back, because even at the height of our liberation struggle, these people, they have struck back in a way that we did not have the mass organization to deal with on a level. And that's what y'all were talking about with the military science, understanding warfare and the nature of warfare. So, yeah, I agree with most of what you were saying, and I definitely don't ever want to discourage our people, because you know that I had serious issues with what Killer Mike was saying too.
Right.
And I would never, because I think that our people are ready for revolution. And it is evident when you have people that are willing to go to the level that you see some of our people going to. They're not at a revolutionary stage, but they are very rebellious in their actions against the system, and they recognize that it's the system, and they attack it. They don't go like some of these Negroes be talking about, oh, you turn up your whole neighborhood. These people understand who own this infrastructure and who own the infrastructure of these businesses and the economic system. When they are destroying it, they may not be able to run everything down to you in an intellectual way or something, but they have the inherent understanding of who is their oppressor. Right. Because they've been dealing with it all their lives.
Right, and it's like Kwame Ture said, justice is instinctive. people have an instinctive attraction and love of justice, and even, you know, our less developed mammalian counterparts, like primates, even have a concept and understanding of justice and injustice. So you don't need to, you know, scholarship to understand basic fairness and justice, but in a complex entrenched system, you do need scholarship in order to counter it and dismantle it. But we're gonna move forward, Brother Adolfo. I look forward to seeing you when you make your way up out of Mississippi and come into the real world, come into Chicago.
Hey,
I'm sorry, man. I shouldn't perpetuate that stereotype. Look, hey, listen, you know, hey, I got some stuff for you to take back for him, you know, because I like, me and Skip Coon, he's trying to convert me to Christianity, I'm trying to convert him to veganism, so it's dueling ideologies here. So,
thank both of you, brother.
And I appreciate your constant input and support, brother. Keep it up, man, and I'll see you soon.
All right, brother.
All right, peace. Yeah. All right, so we're coming up on a hard break. AM 1160 Q4 radio. No, AM 1680. How did I get it written on? Hey, AM 1680. Did I say it right? Yeah, that's the AM 1680 Q4.org QUE4 broadcasting out of north side of Chicago, Genesis Art Supply, 2525 North Elston. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to take a brief musical break, and we'll be back with the up-and-coming scholar, freedom fighter, educator, subverter of oppressive systems, Brother Brandon. All right?
All right.
I know this is before your time, way before your time, but I think you'll appreciate it. This track here. Yo, God, do the knowledge, God. And I'm sorry, I can't fade it like I'm supposed to. Your mic is off. Alright, thanks for tuning in to the live feed. Again, you can go to AM 1680, Q4.org, or you can go to the Q4 Radio, QUE number 4 dot Facebook /Facebook, whatever, Facebook. You can listen live. Thanks for listening to the live feed. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties. I hope to hear from you soon. And this show, with all other shows, will be archived at diallokenyatta.com. Peace.